I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Very curious. I'm trying to talk to some of my friends. I can watch it early this week. Because I'm like very excited for Superman. Hello everyone, this is Andreas Pop Guy. We got a little sneak peek of us talking about DC. So yeah, your moderator, Andreas Pop Guy. I'm here today with the wonderful Jeff S. True Knowledge from MCU Building Edge. We're back again. Right now we're currently off break from the Monday reports, so we're gonna do a little bit of Sunday stuff like old times maybe. But yeah, so how you doing, sir? How's life? Um,
our friends over at Squawking Dead still want to do that Dead City season,
oh,
season
season
chat or
two.
whatever, season 2 discussion or whatever over there on their pod.
Oh,
What's his name?
Dave,
David
David,
said
yes.
that he's going to get back to me about scheduling a date to do it. And I
Yeah,
told him we're not doing anything on Mondays right now, anyways. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
we be down.
Oh, that's very exciting. Yeah, we're definitely going to be in the recap because we got a lot of opinions about season two. It was definitely a step down from Dead City season one. But I guess I'm optimistically, I mean, happy for the third season. I don't know, but we'll discuss that later on. But yeah, but that's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I told Dave that we definitely be down to do like a Daryl Dixon season 2 season 1 chat with them sometime
that's
between now and Daryl Dixon, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, because that's what I remember. So before, so I heard. Well, I think it's kind of common news. So Daryl Dixon season three is going to be in London. So London is going to be the new setting for that show, which is cool. And apparently, I don't know if this is true. We need to see if this is true in the premiere in September, right? When it premiere, um, that city is the only area of the world that's not being affected by the walkers. Like it's been kind of like not affected by it apparently. So
I
I'm
don't
very
I don't I don't know if I believe that.
yeah. I don't know. That's happening because in the teaser trailer, I mean, if you guys have AMC Plus, there's a teaser trailer for the Daredevil Dixon, and they've been promoting it. And I saw a clip of like the London, monuments that you recognize, and it didn't look as decay as like Paris for the first two seasons and whatnot. So I'm very curious about what we're gonna get this season. It's very interesting.
I don't know. There's nothing about the UK like about their military or like about London or anything like that. That I could think of building wise or anything that would make it a place where they could have a non-infected zone. Going on. In the Walking Dead universe or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if that was happening somewhere or whatever, I wouldn't think it would happen there in London.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to stick there or travel to different Europe, states in the third season. We need to see. But
There
yeah,
would there are places in the Walking Dead universe like there are like islands and countries that you could go to, you know what I'm saying, in the world, where there are places where there aren't infected. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
Still in the Walking Dead universe or whatever, in their world, of course there's places that you can go to where there's no walkers. There's still like islands and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, places that
yeah,
are like kind of off the map a little bit, you know what I mean? Harder to get to, you know what I'm saying? But potentially infection free.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely could happen. But yeah, very curious about that. I mean, the reason I'm bringing up, I know you haven't seen these movies, because famously, the 28 Days Later films that popularized the fast zombies are set in the UK. And I'm not gonna spoil what happened with the new movie, but like I didn't know this until this year that the UK is basically AI Lynn. And I was like, oh, because it's a major plot point in 28 years later. If you've seen that movie.
I think the UK is very the geography and layout of the UK is and like Britain is very difficult to understand or comprehend unless you go. You got to go. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
I think if you probably go there and walk around, it's probably a lot easier to understand. You know, like the layout of it. You know, and like like how it's because like without going, it's very difficult to understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. When me and my mom went there for the first, the second time for a full week, it was much better understood. You know,
it is some kind of like an island because it's kind of cut off. Like that's why at World War II they were able to stay away from Germany. You know, because they had the defense of the natural defense of the ocean. Whatever you call the those bodies of water around the island, like around the UK, you know what I'm saying? Channels or whatever, whatever the fuck that is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Atlantic or
English Channel, all that shit, you know what I mean? Whatever you call those areas, all that, the areas that help keep Germany away, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's very cut off from the world, and
there's a reason why the UK and like London and like that geographical spot has always been like historically like a place where there's always been a major city, and like major cities and like mass populations, and shit like that in those areas. You know what I mean? It's a good spot,
Yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. The city being a thing for Daryl Dixon, that'll be kind of cool. I'm very curious what we got here because right now we don't know much about the story. Like we just know that Carol, Daryl are together. They're pretty much stranded. Now that the kid Laurent? Yeah, Laurent. If I remember his name, right? Laurent is safe. With the other guy that Carol became friends, right? And they are now going overseas, and so. Of course, we know from the last season 2, that Carol and Daryl are like heading to England, probably to find some some transportation to get off from this European country.
They're probably kind of fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like overall, you know what I mean? Like because honestly, it's we don't really know, but like there's a chance that in that world, with how fucked up the world is, and with how difficult transportation is, in that world, you know what I mean? Like, after the apocalypse, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have those big characters with organizations and stuff like that, in power like Janae, you know what I mean? That had the boats going, you know what I mean? If you don't have gangs or groups with that kind of, power, you know what I'm saying, doing that kind of stuff, then how are you going to have boats, sailing to America? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that even a thing with anybody in the UK,
No, I mean,
we don't know,
Yeah, we don't know. And I mean,
honestly, country to country travel probably isn't that important when you're living in a zombie apocalypse fucking world, you know what I'm saying? Being able to travel from from country to country is probably not a big valuable important thing you really want to do a lot,
No. And also why you want to travel if you know that some of the territories are going to be dangerous.
Traveling is probably not a really positive experience in the Walking Dead world, you know what I'm saying? Long-term travel,
No, the only travel we've seen is just people that are experimenting, the walkers, because we saw the other group, and that's been really it in terms of travel. But we haven't really seen those type of big travels.
The kind of boats that they have left to work with in the Walking Dead world and whatnot and everything, it takes a lot longer probably to get from the UK to America, across the ocean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. And also, you need a lot of people, right? Especially those big ships, you need a lot of people to operate those big ships to keep the pressure, whatever, if you've seen those type of those travel boats, those big ones, there's a lot of people they have to operate that big thing. So it's way more.
They can run a decent sized ship on a pretty decent on a pretty smallish crew. If you want and go across the the ocean and shit like that, they do it. It just depends on what you're doing, what you're carrying, what you're hauling. Like what I'm saying, what kind of ship you're on.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, like if you have enough people, then you're fine, right? I mean, no, I mean, you need like those people that know how to operate those gizmo things. Whatever.
There's lots of different types of overseas travel. You know what I'm saying? With different sizes of ships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That have different purposes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I think that so there's probably certain boats that do probably carry really large crews. But you don't want to have too many people on a boat.
No,
it's not.
No.
It's not an economical or valuable thing to have too many people. That just creates a need for more resources. More food. More resources. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. I agree. I mean, we'll see how. I mean, if they want to stay over there, that's fine. I mean, it's a good country, UK. But yeah, what else? I mean, we got new cast members. Some of them I don't recognize. There's one actor we do recognize. Steven Merchant. He's a comedian actor, English actor from the English Office. He's the guy who played Caliban.
I've heard the name before. Maybe a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
that UK Office show was dreadful.
Really.
I tried to watch the first episode of it and get through it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
British humor is really not that funny compared to American humor. You know what I'm saying? It's very dry.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you with that. I mean, their humor is like a particular taste you have to get into. Yeah. I agreed.
Well, yeah, I mean, British television has a totally different style to it than American television and movies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a totally different vibe.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to kind of say this, but I prefer the British shows when they're more drama. That's more easier to watch. Of course, if you've seen those police, Law and Order and all those police shooters you've seen over the years, those are good in the UK. I've seen those before. It's really great. And, they got good family dramas as well. So I like those. Comedy is always a hit and miss for me with those UK people and their shows. I mean, but there's some that are funny, I will say, but you have to get into the show.
If you're somebody like me that is the opposite of Cyber and doesn't like that slapstick, really childish kind of humor, you know what I mean? If you're someone like me that really likes R-rated, really graphic, kind of, language, kind of Dave Chappelle kind of humor, you know what I mean? That UK British humor doesn't work,
Yeah. Dave Chappelle's good. I love him. He's great.
I like Aussie humor, Australians are funny. You know what I'm saying? There's some pretty out there, pretty cool, liberal kind of fucking people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, they're very funny.
They have their own energy going on, the Australians.
Yeah, I mean, we have one, Matt and Ben. They had good humors. Yeah.
They're really laid back people, man. You know what I'm saying? I've met a couple of Australian creators over the years.
Yeah.
They're all smart and really, capable, people. You know what I mean? People you want to be around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're very fun people. They're very different from. I mean, their culture is very different. In terms of just how they review world and all that. It's crazy.
It's unfortunate that Australia is so far away. Honestly, it seems like a really great place to visit. And a good fit for an American for travel. You know what I mean? But it's far away.
Yeah, I know. I mean, not as far. Even I have a friend, a family member is in Hong Kong. That's even much farther to get 15 hours to get to Hong Kong. It's crazy.
Australia is that far, if not farther. Australia is far, man. Far away.
How far? Let me check. Far from here. Let me see.
Thailand is 22, 23 hours fly time.
What?
From America, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I already looked into it, sir. As a destination, as a vacation spot, it's like two 12-hour, 11-hour trips, like flights to get to Thailand.
Jesus,
that's brutal, bro.
I don't think I can make it.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
How long is the flight to use? So if I take a flight to Australia, it's going to be 18 hours. And 37.
I told you.
God. And it's even expensive. Oh my god.
Australia is far away, bro.
Yeah, it's in the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it's an island too. I guess an island. Yeah, crazy. Ugh.
18 hours is a very prohibitive amount of time in a plane to get somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth the trip. I mean, we had to plan out well.
You just have to be very dedicated and patient, and just and do your best to rock out that crazy flight time. Times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like Thailand seems like a great place to visit. Cheap, very cheap. Country. You know what I'm saying? Everything's cheap. But getting there, dude. Again, man. Doing a 12-hour, then and then an 11-hour flight, 12 hours from like LA to Japan, and then and then 11 half hours from Japan to Thailand. That's a lot of flying, bro.
Yeah,
and a lot of people do all that in one shot. They do the 12 hours, get there to like their spot, their turning over spot in Japan or whatever, and then do a layover, and then jump on the next plane and do that, 11-hour, 11 and a half hour, final leg to Thailand, and they do it all together.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Dude, that's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I done one flight, and then there was a couple times I had to do
the people are out of it. They're like done by the time it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen the people on YouTube, the YouTube videos, where they document the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once everybody gets there, gets to the airport and all that, then you got to deal with that whole experience of like out of the country and like a foreign country, dealing with travel, getting a SIM card. You know what I mean? Getting a phone, active phone. You know what I'm saying? Getting money. You gotta do shit when you get there. So like even when you get there, you can't relax. You still got some more time ahead of you to do shit. You gotta get to where you're staying. And figure all that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a lot. You know what I mean?
I don't understand that. Like, people should like prepare ahead of time. That's what I mean.
People do that. People do. Yeah. They get ready. They prepare so that they're ready. Yeah. And when they go and they do this stuff, they watch the stuff on YouTube. So they write the stuff down, so they're ready, I think most people do, you know what I mean? But again, dude, that's just really like, rough. Like, I mean, you probably get really bored on 12-hour flights.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the bright side is you have TV, like movies to watch. So, I mean, at least we got that. And then if you are tired, that's like a good time to sleep, a couple hours. So
I don't sleep like that, man. I'm not like that with my sleep. I can't just sleep like that.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but that's how usually me and my mom do it. So I don't know how you guys do it, but yeah.
I've done that before. I know what you're talking about, where you like stay up and stuff like that preemptively before you fly, so you're tired. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've done that.
Yeah. I just think that that's the only way you can make it, like at least make it through. If not, you got the movie.
I've stayed up all night before flights, just to purposely stay up. So when I got on the plane, I would pass out.
Yeah. It's I very brutal. Thank goodness this year's my vacation is going to be quick to get there.
It's a great way to get through a flight, man. If you can just pass out through a flight, it's awesome. You know what I'm saying? You find a spot, you once you get settled in and the flight gets going and you pass out, you wake up and you're going down,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I used to drink, that helps too. You know what I mean? Drink, like pregame at the house before I would go to the flight. And then, like, drink at the bars at the airport, too,
Oh, God.
Getting fucked up helps if you're trying to pass out and, like, all that shit in the plane.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
that-
Oh yeah, it helps do some shots and shit.
true. I mean, there's also medicine that will put you to sleep. I mean, you know
That's
that.
true.
So.
That's true. There is medicine. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you if I don't know, you can bring your NyQuil or like if you have something that's make you sleepy, you know that.
NyQuil is legal, so you can take it anywhere. You can take it on the plane. It's legal.
Awesome. So I know now. I know that now. That's great.
I don't think anybody would bother you for having NyQuil at the airport.
No, and that's another thing people have to be aware. It's just don't bring anything like flammable or something like that. You know, for the security. That's like another thing. It's like security. You have to.
You don't want to bring anything stupid or crazy like internationally. That's the main thing. You know what I mean? It's one thing if you do it like within the the confines of the U.S., but if you cross the the lines in other countries and all that, and internationally fly, there's more security, so you can't have like dumb shit in your bags.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have like guns, or like fucking weapons. You know what I mean? Like you can't have bad shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I mean, we seen all those crazy shit in the internet. It's very crazy.
Yeah. I hear that they're really cracking down on cruise ships now with the partying and the weed and stuff like that. Yeah, they're cracking down on the cruise lines.
That's good.
Bringing the drug dogs in, to sniff around when they're at port, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they even like put that when you say like bring it into the airport, knowing that the dogs would come sniff it.
Oh hell yeah! People have been bringing weed to on planes from state to state, or from U.S. to other countries forever, and to this day people still do every day. You know what I'm saying? You can still do it,
Yeah, that's actually kind of true.
It's not hard to sneak a small bag of weed, on your person. You know what I'm saying? Like on a plane from like to New York to California or something, or whatever. It's not hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and there's ways to hide stuff. There's ways to hide weed and drugs and stuff like that when you travel. You know what I'm saying? Ways you can hide and like stash your shit, to where they won't be found.
Yeah, that's true.
You can do all that.
I guess because
everything just changed after 9/11. You can get away with everything a lot more before 9/11.
Yeah, before 9/11. Yeah,
it was easier to bring drugs across international lines. You know what I'm saying? From country to country and stuff like that. Or across on planes before 9/11.
Yeah, sadly. But it happens.
It's crazy, man, to think that there was a time when they didn't have the TSA and all that, and the checkpoints and all that kind of shit. And air travel was different.
Yeah, I mean, I was very young when that.
I can remember kind of.
Yeah, right. Because it was like before. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like 1, 2, 3, get into the airplane. Right, the airport.
I've flown in the 90s before 9/11. I flew a couple times on vacation with my family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a lot quicker. Yeah, before there was TSA and all that stuff. Oh yeah, it was totally different.
Yeah. That's why I like. So
you were only like checked out if you were individually like called out and checked out at an airport back then. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody had to actually like pick you out of the crowd. You know what I mean? And be like, I'm going to search you. Or search your bag. You know what I mean? Otherwise, nobody bothered you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why I prefer I mean, I know it's not overseas, but like I always enjoy driving like through the countryside. Like better do that than doing the airport.
I think there was a security like checkpoint type thing back in before 9/11. They did have something, but it was totally lax. It was totally different. They didn't have scanners or anything like that. You know what I mean? It was totally different.
No, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because
it was much less technological. You know what I mean? They didn't have all the machines and equipment and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It was totally old. It was totally old school the way they used to do it.
Yeah, padding and all that. Yeah.
Customs back in the day and all that, it was totally different. It was much more like 70s, like, like Jaws, 80s, kind of like vibe to stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay.
It was like, back in the day before 9/11, it was like you could smuggle drugs on a plane and shit like that if you wanted to from the U.S. from other countries to the U.S. But you had to be able to like handle the reality of the fact that you were gonna have that like really scary, anxiety-ridden moment, getting through customs and like all that. You know what I mean? Like having your bag looked at and all that stuff. During the process, of international travel. You know what I mean? They still would have that. You know what I'm saying? Your shit would get checked. And, any drug smuggler, I'm sure, probably went through some seriously fucking anxiety-ridden moments through that process.
Yeah.
It's like you either get caught or you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you are going to get caught, you're in big trouble.
People smuggle every day, man.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. You seen this? What is it like? The TV show, like.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, the where they talk or where they show the customs, the airport and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
And they have like South America and all that shit. Yeah, it's great. And they find all the drug smugglers and the drug mules and stuff that travel with like drugs inside of them and shit like that. And they catch them.
Yeah. That was like me and my mom watched that a couple of times, and it's so funny how they like caught the people. It's crazy. It's just they're top notch overseas or over here.
Dude, being a drug mule or whatever you want to call it, whatever other title you want to give it, being a drug courier or whatever, trafficker, drug mule or whatever, or just swallowing drugs in a condom and then flying from South America or whatever, Mexico to America a couple times a month or whatever, back and forth to make your living. It's not, there's a lot of people doing it. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there doing it every day.
Yeah, I mean, and if you hear their stories, I mean, there's a reason to do it because of desperation. This is the only way to make a living.
A lot more of them are getting through than are getting caught.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's. I want to bring up this one thing, and then we'll get into draws. It's more DC news about the Wonder Woman, and I kind of want to hear your opinion, sir, about this casting. If this, could be a good one.
I don't stay current with Hollywood with actresses, like that. You know what I'm saying? I'd have no idea I would have no clue or I wouldn't be able to pull up any image or like that. You know what I'm saying? To work with, to be able to be like, oh, what's her name should play Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the good news here, I like that you brought that up because this one is more important because we actually see this actress. We've been talking to her for the first two half seasons. You talked about the first season. I'm in the new season. Of course, that's our girl Endor Bix, the actress that plays Bix. Recently, I think people think she could be a good candidate to the DC universe because recently, I think James Gunn worked with her before, and recently
she's too thin, and she's too thin and lean and tall, like her frame. You know what I'm saying? The way she's built to be to pull off Wonder Woman, and she's too dark skinned. I told you that already. We talked about this before. Remember, I told you she's too dark.
Did we talk about this? No.
Yeah, Wonder Woman is not that dark. She's white. She's a white character.
I mean, I could take her. I could take the Endor.
You can't make Wonder Woman Hispanic or whatever the fuck Bix is, whatever her name is, whatever that actress's name is. She's not Hispanic. She's from she's from like Spain or one of those. She's from one of those countries, right?
Let me check before we get any. She's in. She was born in Puerto Rico, so yes, she's Spanish.
All right, yeah, so she's Hispanic. All right, so Wonder Woman was not a Hispanic character. I could see a Hispanic actress playing Wonder Woman and pulling it off. I can see it happening. You know what I'm saying? But overall, sir, like generally, like if you were going to cast a role, you know, with a character, overall, you'd think that you'd wanted to stick with like the roots of the character. You know what I'm saying? Overall, if it's a set character that already has a backstory and origin and all that, that's already established. You know what I mean? We already know from other situations, sir, the MCU and DCU in the past and all that, that when you go around and you fuck around with like race swapping and all that shit with the characters, you know what I'm saying? People in the fandoms and the audience don't like it. People who have never even read the comics and stuff like that watch the stuff and can tell it doesn't fit well, that it doesn't work. You know what I mean? That it doesn't, you know, they can tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like we just.
I like that actress. I just don't. I mean, again, I'm not even a big DC guy or whatever. You know, I'm not like a massive DC fan. You're more knowledgeable DC wise than I am. More I understand about Wonder Woman from what I've seen, that you know. With all the animated DC animated we've covered and all that, you know, whatever. She's a white character.
Yeah. This. Well, I mean,
Gal Gadot is Jewish. She's white.
Yeah. Well, that was
she has a darker complexion, but it's because Jewish women have that going. You know what I mean? They do that. They can do that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think this is good. I mean, it's not official. I mean, we're not casting Wonder Woman yet. I mean, it's still a long road to go, but I mean. If this could happen,
I'd have to see some concept art or something, you know, at least, you know what I mean, to kind of like, you know, at least have an idea, you know, of like, you know, what potentially she could look like with the costume on and all that, you know what I mean? I'm just saying I don't feel like she's a great fit body-wise or like frame or build-wise, face-wise, like, you know, all of it, you know what I mean? I don't feel like she's a great fit for that character, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's true. I get where you're coming from that. Like that was the same thing with Gal as well.
Wonder Woman is a tough character to cast. I would think that's not an easy job to do. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree because it's gonna be tough. And yeah, I with you about the physical like.
Gal Gadot just happens to be a perfect like iteration of Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? Like you know the way she looks naturally. You know what I'm saying? She's just a perfect fit to be Wonder Woman, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to
it's all there. She already has it all there naturally. The hair, the height, you know, the build, you know what I'm saying?
Which I think she could pull off, but we'll see. I have one image here that could be a good one.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, the way that they dress the female characters on Andor with some of those outfits, they don't really show the body of people sometimes, you know what I'm saying, very well, you know, so you can't really make out like the build very well, you know, or like the body type of some of those, you know.
I mean because I mean they're heavy, they're wearing a lot of heavy like wardrobe. I'm just showing this image what people have this is her, which I mean it looks kind of plausible. I mean if she built up her, you know, her body, then that could work.
Yeah, that's the thing though. She'd have to put all that work in, like, you know what I'm saying? And like that would be a choice, you know, like a big decision to like do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, that's the one thing that's been
naturally, like just based off how she looks at it on Andor, she does not look like she's built to be Wonder Woman just based off of her regular physique.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, physically, she's not Wonder Woman, but I think her acting is definitely perfect for Wonder Woman. That's my opinion. Yeah, I agree with the race thing, but I don't like. I feel like she's a good actress. I will forgive that.
I think Bix was great in Andor season 2. She had a great arc. You know, it's unfortunate that you know that it's unfortunate that there was only so many episodes you know to work with to fit all the great female characters that Andor has. You know, into the season. You know what I'm saying? And give them all time, you know what I mean? But I felt like they gave them all a pretty good, you know, run, you know, in the show. You know what I'm saying? The different female characters all got a pretty good, you know, shot, you know, in the show. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, her arc was really good during a time of season 2 where there were some episodes that were a little weaker, you know, and like it helped having her strength of character, you know, and like, you know, whatnot on screen. It helped the episodes a lot, I thought, you know?
Yeah, at least her stuff were more interesting than what we were seeing the early episodes of Endor season 2. Yeah, I do agree on that. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
because it's different if you're like Clea, because like Clea is always with Luthen, you know what I mean, all the time,
yeah, all the
and
time.
like,
Yeah,
and if you're acting with Skarsgård in scenes all the time, you know what I'm saying? He's always going to stand out and like outshine, you or other actors. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just has that kind of like effect. You know what I'm saying? You know?
yeah. No. I mean, of course. I mean, it's Skarsgård. He's great. Luthen is an amazing character. And by the way, I wasn't here Friday. I do want to get my piece on episode 10. I haven't seen episode 11 yet. I need to like get on it before Friday, because I'm going to be in the finale, of course. But yeah, I love episode 10. I was very surprised that we did like a focus on what was the assistant for Luthen? I'm sorry, you named the character.
Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie. Really great episode. I don't know, it's not like my favorite episode, but I thought it was really good. Like getting the in depth of how those two characters were meeting together. The fact that Luthen, like it was a crazy scene to see Jedra uh finally meet up with Luthen, and such a great scene.
Oh yeah, the two of them together on the screen in the same scene for the first time was like electricity,
Yeah, exactly. And I was so happy we paid off the thing from the first season with this, the Imperial thing that that Andor was selling, and like Luthen just came there to meet us.
Such great writing and such great storytelling and whatnot, to have Deidre walk in alone, so like she did, so like so stupidly, but so boss,
Cocky.
like boss
Cocky.
like to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And it's so Deidre to do that. Such a Deidre move to do that. You know what I'm saying? And give Luthen a chance to kill himself. You know what I'm saying? Before you can get interrogated. Him.
Yeah, that was brutal. I was shocked he did that. I was like, whoa, it was like crazy. And then of course, before Deidre came into the store, he melted the the radio thing to like communicate their like spies.
He didn't do a very good job though, unfortunately, because he didn't get enough time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm kind of curious when
he was gonna do a lot more shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To wreck everything. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was gonna have more time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And of course, in that same episode, we saw like
him and Clay didn't expect Deidre to show up.
No, I mean, of course not. I mean, because the information was very viable.
Lonnie told him there was a chance that they might be on to him, but he didn't know for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that happened. So that was pretty crazy. I was not surprised.
You had to know that the noose was starting to tighten in Coruscant when Mothma left.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh yeah, that's another thing. What was it? You did episode 9. I did saw episode 9 when I was doing episode 10. I really love episode 9. It was a great Mon Mothma episode. She really did a great job. I thought the actress was awesome. She did deliver her best performance there. And that was so intense. Like when after that speech, everyone was trying to keep her safe, and then there's ones that were trying to kill her. That was really great stuff. I think that was the best episode for this season. I don't know how to rank that.
It was the coolest, most expansive version we've ever gotten in Star Wars of the Senate and Coruscant.
Yes. That's a true point.
It's the most detailed, long, Senate. Type, sets and shots and scenes and that's the biggest, most detailed, look we've been given, of the inner workings of the Senate building, and Coruscant, you know what I mean, they did a great job designing Coruscant for the show. It looks great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, this was the best looking Coruscant we had since. I guess the prequels, whatever. I really loved that we were more into the Senate. Like it was cool to see like the different rooms and all that. Like it felt lived in, which is great.
Coruscant looks epic. The detail of it, the scope of the buildings and the structures, all the concrete and labor and materials that you would have to put in to create, all those tall high rise buildings in the Coruscant. You know what I'm saying? That poke into the clouds, all that shit. everything is tall. You know what I mean? Like, that's all. Everything is massive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
The scope of it, like the size of it it's gigantic. It's massive.
Yeah, very massive. And very practical too. I gotta say, I was very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, they used a lot of they used all non-green screen what do you call it
Volume,
traditional
like
sets,
traditional
like they
sets,
built
yeah.
all their sets. Yeah.
Yeah, one of our guests talked about that, and we discussed that. Like, that's like, I mean, you look at the Acolyte was so bad, like, because they were using the typical thing with Disney stuff, like the volume and all that. So it was really good to see like this show hasn't gone far from that, and using practical things, and real sets that they were able to shoot.
I mean, even if you build a set, you got to build a set that still looks good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and that works.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? For the show. You know what I mean? Like there's people, I'm sure there's shows that try to do it and it just doesn't, work out that well. You know what I mean? Gilroy's a genius.
Yeah.
His attention to detail with Andor is like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Listening to him talk in interviews about Andor and about the creative process is really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. After this, I need to see his other stuff, and his other interviews about the show. If you haven't seen his work, like Michael Crichton, or Michael something, the George Clooney movie from 2007, or the
Michael Clayton.
Martin, thank you. Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah, the spy movie or whatever.
Yeah, spy movie. I don't know what it is, but it's a good movie. I heard from.
Yeah, it was like that really. It was a really adult spy, like thriller type film, or whatever he did.
Yeah. And
yeah, I saw it back in the day. It was good.
Yeah, that was good. Of course, he did the Bourne series. If you don't know, he did the 4 movies. He didn't do the new one, of course. But yeah, he did that, and those are great too. Especially the third movie. The third movie is the best.
Are we talking about George Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney is in that movie. The Michael.
He was in Michael Clayton. Yeah, he was the lead character. He played the lead character.
Yeah, and the H1, the actress that played the H1 is in that movie too. Yeah, a lot of actors in there. I can't remember who, top of my head, but yeah. And then I'm just talking right now that he was also the writer for the Bourne series. He wrote 1, 2, 3, and then he directed and wrote the.
That doesn't surprise me at all. From what I remember about that movie, it was like very like high end, like really super high, well written. Really well cast, ensemble cast. You know what I'm saying? Tilda Swinton was in it. Like it's really good, really well cast. Movie. You know what I mean? I think Skarsgård was in it too.
I think so. I think yeah, maybe so. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, it was really well cast. It was a really well cast movie. Tilda Swinton's in it.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton's great. I mean, she was really, really awesome. I'm looking at the cast right now.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton's never did anything bad.
No, she's usually the best thing about movies. When
I would review Michael Clayton. Like that's a movie I would pick anytime to review. You know what I'm saying? Because I know from like back in the day watching it that it's very high end.
Yeah, very high end. Yeah, what else?
Very smart, like very, very stylish, you know what I'm saying? Very spy, energy, vibe kind of, film, you know what I mean? Energy, very Tony Gilroy,
Yeah. By the way, I just want to remind people, Gilroy has a couple of brothers, Dan Gilroy, John Gilroy,
Mm-hmm.
like there are a couple like them as writers. Okay.
That's crazy to have that much writing talent in one family.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with the Gunn family too. I mean, I don't know if people know this, but Gunn family is also part of the business too. James Gunn and his family. They're not only actors, but they're also writers and directors. Apparently. So, yeah.
Well, I'm sure that probably a lot of the production team on Andor season 2 are going to get rewarded with Emmy noms. This year. You know what I'm saying? Andor season 1 got 8 nominations at the Emmys back in 2022 or whatever. I expected to get probably 2 times or 3 times more than that now. For season 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to do really well.
Yeah, I'm very curious how. I mean, I think it will do well. I think this show
it's being considered one of the best shows of 2025 right now. You know.
Yeah, so far. I mean,
which is a big change from Andor season 1. You know what I mean? You know, it is a big change. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as you were saying before, Jeff, that had to take some time for people to get into that show. It was like a sleeper hit.
It took even after Andor was over. You know, years after. You know what I'm saying? You still had that thing with Andor where people were still telling other people, you know, hey, you got to watch Andor. You know, hey, you got to watch Andor. You know what I mean? It's really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So yeah,
season 2 was like it was like an everybody's got to watch event type deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna do like a post show in here, like discuss Andor first 2 seasons or whatever we're gonna do. It's such a great show. I'm very sad it's gonna end next week with us, and so it's gonna be a really bad week for us. But
yeah, I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, it was such a great show. It was fun. It was consistent. You know,
I'll miss the characters and everything. You know. And the world, you know what I mean, you know, and Tony Gilroy, you know.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm very curious.
He's a genius, man. You know, Andor is such a masterpiece that it's the kind of thing that you can make content about it forever. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can always get inspired to watch like from Andor from watching it. You know what I mean? To like want to like make content about it, you know, and talk about it and point things out about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, and talk about how good it is. You know.
Yeah, it was that good. That was so good.
People who make videos like that, content like that on YouTube are good, are fun to watch. You know, that's fun content. People who can actually make good, you know, good content like that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's not gonna be Good Friday. Anyway, okay, let's kind of wrap up in terms of geeky news before we get into draws. Before we do that, I do want to like bring this up. I just want to say, you know, I know it's not your thing. I seen the 10 story Fantastic Four films. I'm gonna record a podcast on the first 2, but it was really sad to hear over 4th of July of this actor, Julian. What's his last name? McDean. If you know him, he's a famous actor from Nick Tuck, and of course he played the first major Doctor Doom in the live action movies of the 10 story Fantastic Four movies. They were not perfect, and this version of Doctor Doom wasn't a perfect version of Doctor Doom. He was basically a carbon copy of Norman Osborn, aka Green Goblin from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Because remember, the Spider-Man films were popular, and so they just copied that. And so we didn't get I mean, there's a couple things that people forget, like in this version, like life was the country left. Latvalia, if I'm pronouncing that, is in this universe. Like he actually is from that country, he has connection with the Fantastic Four, too connected, particularly with the origin story. But I never had a problem with this actor. This actor was really fun. At least he had some good moments as Doctor Doom. I remember. I
didn't watch those films back when they came out because even back then I felt like those were bad. You know, like those are going to be really bad. You know.
Yeah, it's really bad. Me and my host are going to review the first 2 movies, and they're pretty rough. Oh God,
I stayed away from them back in the day when they came out. I didn't want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Same thing with Daredevil. You know, when I saw that trailer for that and all that and everything, I was like, oh fuck that. You know.
Yeah, I know. Daredevil is pretty rough. Ghost Rider is really bad. I
know. Like somebody was just on the show the other night, like saying something positive about Ghost Rider on the panel or whatever, you know, and like
really?
Internally, I wanted to be like, "What are you talking about?" You know, people who actually talk about people who do talk about like wanting to bring him into the MCU still and stuff like that. You know, to this day, you know what I mean, and all that. You know, and think he was so great or whatever. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. Like, fuck no. Like, why do that? You know what I mean? Like, why would you go to that option? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's such a bad Ghost Rider, you know, like version of Ghost Rider, you know, of all characters to redo and like start fresh. You know what I mean? And, like, you know, start anew. You know what I mean? Like that's one where you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You don't want the old Fox or whatever version of it or whatever in the MCU. You know, the MCU has enough problems.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, this version of Ghost Rider from Nicolas Cage is really awful. The worst ones. I mean,
Yeah, they're like cheap. You know,
yeah,
like
and
you know, like they're like a step above WB. Like
yeah, CW like level.
CW type level.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like TV. Like you know.
yeah. It was so bad. I can't believe it. I saw the movie in theaters, the first one, and even the sequel. I haven't seen the sequel, but I heard really bad things about the sequel too. And I don't understand I like Nicolas Cage as an actor. Do I want him to have better material as Ghost Rider? Yeah, of course. I think that's why people want to see him back, because to do like a more proper Ghost Rider with him.
You're gonna get a more faithful comic
Yeah,
book orientated Ghost Rider in the MCU, you know, and like in their universe, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Than what you got in those films, you know, because they went way off the comic book map with that character, you know what I'm saying? They did their own thing with Ghost Rider, you know, to fit the films that they made, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They changed his villains, they changed side characters, you know, like they did a lot of stuff different from the comics.
God, I mean,
Ghost Rider is a really fun, interesting, deep origin, you know, like and like universe, you know, in terms of like his, you know, universe characters, you know, that all work, you know, the people that all come from his comics, you know, like his world type, you know, villains and characters and all that. There's some good stuff going on there, you know. Anybody who read Ghost Rider back in the day, you know, got a real treat, you know, out of it. You know what I'm saying? He's a great character in the comics.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, it was just a shame that these movies didn't do well. I mean, they didn't like Mephisto. Like, we haven't talked about that, but like, you know, it's crazy how they just messed up Mephisto in those first two movies. It's pretty bad. So yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? I mean, you know, they did what did they do with Mephisto?
Like, well, first off,
they never did Mephisto or whatever until he just showed up in Ironheart.
Well, no, he's in those first two. It's just that they name him differently.
What?
In the first two Nicolas Cage movies. No.
Oh, yeah. I don't count those movies, man. They don't count.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, let me be very clear here.
Any version you get of like a character, I already said it's just not. You know, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's not faithful to the comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't do his like.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant when I said that the villains, the secondary characters, and all that. They changed and fucked with all of them. You know.
Yeah.
For those movies, you know what I'm saying? None of them actually look or are what they are in the comics, in the films.
Yeah, you think the Mephisto and Ironheart was like close to the comic books?
Yeah, that was actually like that was a believable Mephisto. You know what I'm saying? I'd still, you know, eventually,
I agree.
I'd still like kind of, you know, overall like love to see a shot of him like you know, in his like form that he has when he's in hell. You know, when he's in Hades or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he becomes that, like, beast or whatever he is, you know, that, like, creature, you know? I love to see that. I love to see that, like, that version of him for a minute, you know? And then go back to human, you know? Because he has different forms, you know what I'm saying? Mephisto, you know? He doesn't always look the same.
No. I'm very curious we're going to see that. We'll see. I definitely want to see that.
He's a great character. What's his name? That's playing him in the MCU is great. You know,
Sacha Baron Cohen.
I think that was good casting for him. You know.
Yes, I agreed. I think he was much better casting. He's way better than the other two actors. I mean, the other two actors that played Mephisto and the live action ones were okay, but this one was much better. I mean, much better casting. Yeah. And speaking, you know, I don't know how they're gonna do this, but like one place you
better be quick with Jaws, sir, because we're hitting the hour mark just on talking news. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, who cares? I'll be quick. I'm gonna give you 1, 2, 3
abbreviated. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna go through the recap because I'm not gonna torture you with
I honestly, the current MCU right now, it's all nice, it's all good, great that we finally got Mephisto, but like, there's nowhere to use him right now. There's no Blade coming out, there's no Ghost Rider. You know what I'm saying? None of the vehicles that you would want to have for Mephisto, to incorporate into it. You know what I'm saying? None of those, characters or whatever right now are active or are being done in the MCU. There's no Midnight Suns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sadly, they planned on doing and starting the whole supernatural, wing of the MCU, right? The monster verse of the MCU, but it never happened.
Yeah. No.
It got fucked up because of Blade.
Yeah. I mean,
Blade was the key. It was like the opening, gun. You know what I mean? Like for that, whole universe of the MCU, that whole wing of the MCU. You had to do Blade first.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can course correct if they use Ghost Rider.
Oh, they have. Well, they have to now. They already sold all the fucking outfits from Blade to Sinners for their.
Oh my god, you heard that? Yeah. I can't believe it. I'm just shocked that even happened. But yeah, it happened.
That's crazy that they had all that shit sitting like that for all that time for that Blade film, just sitting like that,
Yeah, I know. It's like crazy to hear that. That's crazy. What was it? Oh, just wrapping up the Mephisto thing. There's one place, actually, you're speaking where we're going to see him next, right? And I know this is weird because of the storyline that Mephisto got involved with this character, but we got a little Spider-Man coming around the corner, Spider-Man Brand New Day.
That's not a natural fit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just insert Mephisto into Spider-Man, dude.
Actually, you can. I mean, it's very weird. Okay, if anyone's know, Mephisto is the reason that
Spider-Man works with everybody in the comics, but he's one. Mephisto is one villain, one character that just has no chemistry or fit or whatever with Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me explain the storyline. And look, it's just a fan theory I have. This is just a theory. It's nothing concrete. But listen, because of No Way Home, if you guys read One More Day,
that makes no sense. You're going way off base with Spider-Man, trying to get him into supernatural stuff. Like they already did the multiverse stuff with him. That was already way far out there for his character.
Yeah. I know.
I don't want to see them go in another direction like that with the supernatural.
I know. I don't like it either. But I just thinking of well, if they're gonna, I don't believe they're gonna do it. But
how would that even make sense? How could you blend Mephisto and the supernatural into a Spider-Man film?
Well, in the comic books, in One More Day.
So the comic books are a totally different concept or whatever than a movie.
Yeah, let me explain this. Why I'm bringing this up. Because in the comic books, in the One More Day, because famously Spider-Man Spider-Man after Civil War, his identity was exposed, right? And then Spider-Man wanted to fix things. He wanted to get his Aunt May back because Aunt May got killed during that timeline. And famously, who came to him to make a deal? Mephisto. Mephisto made a deal for Peter during the comic books, by the way. Look, I will help you restore what you had before, or what happened. But in exchange, the conflict was he now was no longer married to Mary J. That's why,
none of that makes any sense to do with the MCU.
Well, it could. I mean, it has to be very different. It's not going to be a faithful adaptation, which I don't want. I don't want a faithful adaptation of this. But I don't know. We don't know too much about what Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be, so I'm just speculating.
Spider-Man is the most collaborative character in Marvel. You know what I'm saying? In the comics and in the MCU, he's a great fit to put on screen with anybody. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense to have Mephisto of one of those people be one of those people in a Spider-Man film. It's a weird thing to fit into a Spider-Man film. There's so many other characters in the MCU that make more sense to put in there and would fit better. You know what I mean? Be a more natural fit. You know what I mean? In Spider-Man's world, you know what I mean?
That's why I'm excited for the Punisher because if you guys know, the Punisher first appeared in the Spider-Man comic books. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, but I agree with you. Yeah, the Mephisto doesn't make a lot of sense. That's the only like time I could think of.
In the comics, it makes sense because in the comics, anything's doable, anything's possible. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna touch the whole like everyone forgot about Peter Parker thing, but if they're not gonna do that, then don't bring in Mephisto. So that's my thing. If they wanted to touch again, everyone forgetting that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
If they're really gonna have the Punisher in that movie, I think it's obvious the direction that they're going with the film is like a very street level,
level, right?
You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like, why else do you have the Punisher in there? You know?
Yeah, and the villains too, like because we're getting apparently we're getting Mr. Negative, which I'm excited for. Scorpion, thank goodness.
I have no idea who Mr. Negative is, and I know a lot about Spider-Man, but I've never heard of him.
If you play the PS4 Spider-Man, you will.
Oh, it's a newer villain. Yes, that's why I don't know him. Yeah,
yeah, he's a newer villain. He came around like 2008 from the Den slot.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know about that then.
Yeah, I if you like games, like play the PS4 Spider-Man, he's in the first game.
I never got into playing superhero video games.
Yeah, that's true.
I just never got into it. But no, I mean, look, I get I get. It's cool to have cool ideas and concepts and thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not serious about that.
It never hurts to want to see it doesn't hurt to want to see different actors and characters coming together on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just like I'm an automatic, natural, like sort of realist when it comes to like everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very real, like realist kind of, outlook kind of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I think about the MCU and like the comics and Marvel and all that and everything, it's deep. And I just automatically, I think about Spider-Man, and there's certain characters that I feel like there's an automatic, natural connection and energy and vibe with certain characters, certain villains, where there's chemistry there, automatically kind of, right? From jump. And then there's certain characters and villains that just don't, even with Spider-Man, don't fit. Like, especially in the MCU Spider-Man, world or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That they have built for him, outside the comics. I'm not talking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I never thought Nick Fury fit with Spider-Man. Like, and he was really bad in Far From Home. Yeah, I agree.
No, Spider-Man never really fit well with S.H.I.E.L.D., Spider-Man had his own, vigilantes and security, force type, characters that had military, forces
military
stuff like that.
Yeah.
He had Silver Fox, little characters like that and all that, and his own people. You know what I'm saying? So he had all that. He had all that going on, espionage and all that, secret agent stuff. Spider-Man had all that going on in his own shit. He didn't need S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, No.
I mean, I know you haven't seen the cartoon, but yeah, Spider-Man did tackle with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the 90s cartoon. I remember, S.H.I.E.L.D. was there with him. But yeah, it really depends on the story whenever he, encounters S.H.I.E.L.D., right? But that's my thing. I'm not thinking Mephisto is going to be in the new Spider-Man movie. I'm just
Spider-Man is the most mobile, collaborative, automatically, awesome to put together with other characters. He's the guy. You know what I mean? In movies and in comics, it's the same shit. You put them together with other characters, and you put them together, on the page or whatever. It's great, and you could put it with everybody. You know what I mean? Even weird characters, and weird superheroes that you never think that he gets together with. It's still great. When it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because Spider-Man gets along with everybody, in the comics. He has that, that wit and humor and kind of attitude that he has, you know what I'm saying? And that sort of positive demeanor, and people like him. He's very likable.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's very good with everyone.
He's very likable in the comics, He's got that same Captain America sort of positive vibes, energy going on when it comes to how people view him. You know what I mean? He's very well liked.
Yeah. Well, or Superman. I mean, I'm a DC guy. I think him as more like a Superman type for the Marvel universe because
Superman is like a god compared to Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
There's no like,
yeah, that's true. I mean, if you want Superman not being a god, I think he's in the level where Spider-Man is in terms of goodness.
Superman is a totally different character. Superman doesn't have that collaborative energy like
Oh,
Spider-Man does. You know?
really? Oh, get out of
Not
here.
for me. Yeah, I don't feel like Superman doesn't have that natural collaborative vibe about it. You know, where we can just throw with other characters and it's great. You know,
That no, okay, yeah,
he's a
yeah,
lot.
that's true.
He's a lot more of an individualistic character. You know.
No, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, yeah, but except for like Batman or the Justice League, yeah, he's mostly like a
With his powers and like his whole like background and like and all
true.
that it just makes more sense for him to go solo a lot of the time and do everything by himself. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
he's a great part of the Justice League. Whenever we get to see it, in DC animated or whatever, he's always great.
Yeah, yeah. I guess more Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is more of like what Peer is. If you guys seen Blue Beetle, that character.
I've never seen a really great version of Blue Beetle or anything like that because I'm not a DC Comics fan really.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I saw some of the Blue Beetle film that came out. I walked out like before the movie even finished because it wasn't very good.
I seen it yesterday. Actually, I actually like it. I kind of get where you're coming from. Yeah, that one is more required taste for that film. I knew Blue Beetle in the Batman Brave the Bold cartoon. He was great in there. Young Justice. I think you need to watch Young Justice to like appreciate the character. I think that show will make you more of like a big, Blue Beetle.
Yeah, the Young Justice comic stuff has always seemed interesting to me. It seems cool.
Yeah, I don't know he's in that comic, but like he could be there, because he's part of the Young Justice lineup. But yeah, okay. Let's get into draws, folks. And before we do that, let's take a little break, and I'm gonna do a trailer, and then we'll wrap up the show and get out of here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day. The beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time. Amity is a summer town. I don't think you appreciate the gut reaction people have to these things. You yell barracuda, you're racist, huh? You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Bigger boat.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
Okay, let me get the Kesha echo calculation back. All right, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Of course, today we're doing a movie review for Jaws, 1975 classic film of Steven Spielberg's filmography, of course, directed by the classic, the GOAT himself, Steven Spielberg, based on the 1974 novel by Peter Benchley. The novel, the author, actually, you do see the author of the story in the movie. He plays the reporter, reporting about the shark sightings and all that. Towards when every guard and like Brody and Hooper are like watching over the beach. So he's right there during the news outlets. And so it stars Roy Scheider playing police chief Martin Brody, who is like in help with marine biologist. Let me get his name right because Matt Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss. And then of course they are with the eccentric crazy professional shark hunter Quint, played by Robert Shaw, the late great Bob Shaw, who's great. He's also the best Bond villain person from Russia with love. And they hunt for a man-eating great white shark that attacks beachgoers at the New England summer resort town. So, Jeff, let's get into this. What do you thought about this movie? We talked briefly about it, and you're not a fan of this movie, right?
I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, sir, the final battle is like still like cool to see. You know, it still has some impact. You know, or whatever. Like, you know, like to see, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, sir, the rest of the film, besides that, just has like a really, really, really heavy 70s vibe, like feel to it. You know, it's a very limited film. It's like it's set in like it's only set in one spot. You know, they don't go anywhere during the film. It's right on the beach the whole time. You know what I mean? Or they're in the water. You know, honestly, sir, all the unique you know effects and like you know stuff that they did in the film to make it scary and make it you know unique and different for its time. All that stuff, but you know, by the 90s and like by the 2000s, the stuff doesn't have that same impact anymore. You know what I'm saying? The music, you know, the shark scenes, all that kind of stuff, they don't hit. They're not scary to me. You know, the movie just seems just honestly watching it, it has a very like you know older 70s look and like vibe to it, you know.
Okay.
I mean, everything about it is 70s. You know what I'm saying? You know, like you said, it came out in 75, not 79. You know, right in the heart of the 70s. You know, you know that's a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? You know, so you know, there isn't a lot that happens in like in Jaws, in like you know in the general you know body of the film. You know. The build up to like, you know, the final event and final battle or whatever, you know, not a lot really happens at all, you know, that's all that interesting or you know, like, you know, valuable for me watching as an audience member watching the movie. You know, the dialogue is not anything all that great. You know what I'm saying? The acting isn't all that, you know, all that great or it's not, you know, anything out of this world, you know, you know, the movie has a lot of iconic, you know, moments and like characters and like, you know, stuff like that. Of course it does. It has all the nostalgia and all the, you know, all the classic, you know, like film, you know, things that come with it. But in terms of how it, you know, plays out and carries over as a film in 2025 compared to 1975, you know, it doesn't hold up for me anyways. You know what I'm saying? You know, it doesn't have the same impact, you know, now that it probably, you know, did big time, you know, when it came out, right? And it was like a big deal, right?
Yeah. No, I look, I respect your opinion, sir. I disagree, you know, a couple of points. But I'm very happy that you like the finale. That
it has some strong performances from the cast, you know, you know, it's well cast from what I understand, from what my knowledge, you know, from that time period, it's pretty well cast, you know, but you know, again, for back then, the animatronics, the special effects, the shark stuff is great. You know, it looks great. You know, and like you know when you finally see it at the end. But the overall build up to the end, during just the general movie, you know, the shark stuff is not all that great to me.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that part I can agree with you. Yeah, it's very limited. I mean, there was a lot of production problems with the machine, you know, because it's in water and it's really hard to operate that.
We've seen a lot of shark movie shit now. Between like, you know, between the 80s and 90s to now in 2025, there's a lot of shark films have been made, you know?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, we got more shark movies. I mean, I'm trying. Which one do you think is the best? Because, I mean, Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, I don't know. I never said that they're good movies.
No, they're not good movies. I mean, well, there's one good shark movie I heard called The Shallows. It starts the Blake Lively, the wife from.
I think I may have seen it.
Yeah, I heard that's a good one. I think the shark there was like decent. I mean, it wasn't too bad. I'm the movies I seen like Deep Blue Sea, very funny. Like I don't know, you will like that, but like it's a very campy like shark movie.
I like it better when they go in the direction of The Shallows, where they make it more of a horror movie with sharks. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know what I mean? Like, you know, more of a horror movie. You know, make, you know, a scary kind of event versus Deep Blue Sea, where it's more of a, you know, like fun, humoristic. You know what I'm saying? You know, sort of ensemble, like, you know, like B-level ensemble cast, you know, type film. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. You know, because was it Luke Kool-Aid's in it, and like Thomas Jane. Oh, and was it Luthen? Actually, Luthen from Endor. He's in that movie. I totally forgot. Like he's.
Oh, is he? Is he really?
Yeah. He's one of the victims from the sharks. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that movie is very campy, very like if people don't know what Deep Blue Sea is, apparently these rich, like this miracle team, like experiment 3 sharks, and
it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a really bad movie, but I enjoy it. It's very campy. My family likes it, but anyway, that's not here or there. Yeah, I agree. You know, the shark it's very limited in the big screen. We don't see it as enough. But I think it's effective in this movie. I disagree. I think this movie is really scary. I mean, in moments, I will say it's not a horror movie. I mean, it's more of a thriller movie, I have to say. You know, yes, it's not really our horror movie, but like it still has that vibe of horror. I mean, especially the kills we see in this movie. I mean, like we see a headless head from one of the sailors. If you know what I'm talking about, from.
Well, yeah, because a PG rated film in 1975 was a totally different kind of thing than like now. You know, like PG meant something different back then.
Yeah, it was very different back then, and also they got away a lot of things. In this movie, I mean, like, come on, Quint's death was really brutal. I mean, like, it was so bloody. Like, you're not gonna see that today, but back then they were allowed to do like, you know, crazy things.
By the 1970s, you could test the limits, and you could do some horrific, you know, kind of out there shit in the 70s, you know, with films. You know what I'm saying? People were doing it, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that was that time.
People were testing the rules, you know what I'm saying? You know, with movies back in the 70s, you know, and the 60s, you know what I'm saying? You know, in that generation, that, you know, during that time period with film, you know, people were making stuff and taking risks, you know, and making stuff that was more gory and stuff that was more pornographic, you know, or sexual, you know.
Yeah, but even that we push it forward in the 80s. If you've seen those neo-nasty movies. But yeah, crazy. And I like the cast. I think the cast is really good. I mean, the breakout character for me is Quint, the shark hunter. I mean, you were talking about the dialogue. His speech about the World War II speech he tells the 2 guys. Because he survived in the sinking USS Indianapolis. This was a real thing. This is actually a real event, World War thing, that a ship sunk. Many soldiers did die in this situation that Quint was talking about due to dehydration, saltwater poisoning. Ouch. You know, and shark attacks, as he brought up, and it's a great speech.
The sinking of naval ships and stuff like that during World War II back in the day was rough.
Yeah, it was really rough, and so I was very happy that they made like a dialogue about that. I will defend that speech. That speech is really great, and yeah, I agree. You know, some of the dialogue are very 70s. I will give you that. But I think the dialogue is fine in this movie, but it's just a personal taste, right? I seen a lot more 70s movies than you, I think, right? Yeah, because I seen a lot of 70s movies, and some of them are good.
The overall as a film, from like, you know, over the first 80% of Jaws, it's pretty boring, bro. Honestly, like as a movie to watch it, you know what I'm saying? not a lot exciting really happens.
That's true. You brought up this one place. Yeah, it doesn't get like
there's some rare random shark action here and there with some like horror or like some gore, but it's like very rare and it's like very short when it happens, and then it's over.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's over. Yeah, no, I will agree on that. Yeah, when they go out the sea, that's where the movie gets better. When they're in the boat, that's where the movie is much better, I have to say. Because,
when they get them all together, those three actors, those three characters together on the boat, yes, it works a lot better for the film.
Yeah, no, I agree what you're saying. What you're saying, Jeff? Yeah. When they're in the town, it's like very typical, stuff you've seen before. And it's like, yeah.
It's very stiff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very stiff, like it's very boring, the look of it, it's not a very it's not like a Florida beach, that beach set,
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not. You know what I mean? It's not like a Florida, white sands, kind of beach. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's more of like a Delaware, Jersey beach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because apparently this is close to New York, right? Because the cop.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be set in that same kind of area where those shark attacks happened back in the day.
Yeah. Because Brody is from New York. If everyone knows about the movie, he's from New York, and he's just there for like a summer job as a cop. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense because I did wonder that. What else?
That's one of the cool things about the 70s and back in the day is you could have things like summer jobs and stuff like that. Concepts like that really aren't there anymore.
No. It's I mean, it's very different now, but yeah, it's like you get a job right away and that's your job for
things like a summer job. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, like concepts like that type concepts, they're gone. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah. The only like summer job is really like camp jobs, right? Like the camp jobs taking over the summer jobs. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that kind of like freedom with your employment, you know what I'm saying? To be able to leave a job to go to another seasonal job, for a while and then come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had that, you know what I mean? It was a real thing, you know what I'm saying? But just like there were things that were tougher and weren't as safe and stuff like that back in the day when it comes to work and business, right? There was stuff that was cheaper, that was easier,
Yeah, no, that's true. Missed those days. By the way, I was a counselor in training one time, so that was not a job I was very happy about. Anyway.
Well, there were people, there were people, and there still are to this day, I guess, probably there are people who still, work, seasonal type employment jobs like on ski lodges and, ski resorts and stuff like that, where they only work seasonally, then they're off.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've seen Daly's Catch, but those salespeople, the fishermen have those kind of like seasonal jobs. Those are like the seniors jobs I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah, they do they have cycles. They have dead periods throughout the year where they don't fish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like crab season. If you've seen the Daly's Catch, it's literally like that. Like they have a seasonal
Yeah, crab season is only a couple of months long, then it's over.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with what you're saying about the town. Yeah, it's very stiff, it's very boring, but also frustrating because of the mayor. The mayor is so stupid because he wants to keep the beaches open, and it's like, come on, there's a shark killing your people. Why you want to keep it? I get you're a town that needs summer money because they're also seasonal too.
That all makes sense. The economy, the tourist economy and all that. The seasonal economy, the beach economy. It makes sense that of course, there's going to be cities. Look at Myrtle Beach or whatever. Where the beach economy is really important. It's very valuable to a city. Right?
Yeah. I get it, but it's like, why you want to take the risk for your people to be eaten by a deadly shark? Like that's the part I hate about that part of the movie. You were talking about the town. It's like, oh, come on, don't risk your livelihood. These people's livelihood over your money. It's like, I mean, I get it. I don't know how they're gonna make money, but I don't know. Like that part didn't. I didn't.
Well, no, it makes sense. It's like Coney Island or or the Jersey Shore. There's areas of coastline of beach. In the East Coast. That or the West Coast too, where there's certain cities that are pretty and very attractive spots where the cities do have like beach economies, that bring in tourists and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money involved. There are places like that.
Okay.
Look at the Florida Keys, right?
Oh yeah.
They're nothing but islands, like with big, with a bunch of beaches,
Yeah. I don't know. That part, like, I understand, like, that's their livelihood, and I get it. But I always thought it was kind of like too dangerous. So like, there's a couple.
Sharks aren't that dangerous,
That's
regardless of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, they're really not that dangerous.
No. I mean, if you don't it's just like wild animals. Don't like come close to it and like interfere with what they're doing. Just leave it alone. They're harmless. They don't like attack you. I agree with you.
I've swam in the dark, like late at night, way out in the ocean, and shit like that, like scary, dangerous, way out in the ocean and shit like that, where that there's sharks out right beneath you and shit like that. I've done that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure I probably bumped into them or whatever, or come across them before. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I've gotten really drunk and brave, and swam way the fuck out at night in the dark.
Oh my god, I can't believe you did that.
It's scary when you get out there, then you got to come back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's scary with sharks.
Yeah, it's scary as fuck at night. It's scary.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's really interesting.
You gotta have that liquid courage, sir, to be able to do that shit.
Hey, if you don't have to swim fast, then you're fine. So I
don't really drink like that. Like I used to drink when I was younger. I don't really get drunk and shit like I used to back in the day. But I'll tell you what, when I used to get drunk and fucked up, like you get really brave. Like you'll do some crazy shit and dumb shit when you're fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Your most ballsiest moments of your life and shit happen when you're fucked up most of the time.
That's true. I seen that before with my friends. They did that. Yeah. No. You're right. Okay. What else? I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Look, Jaws has a lot of good things going for it. Overall, you know what I mean? Like, of course it does. It has a lot of positive aspects of it.
Yeah.
If you're old enough, to know about the history of film enough, well enough to know a little bit about Jaws, at least a little bit about it, that it did set a lot of precedents in film. You know what I'm saying? When it came out, it was a very unique movie for its day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree because this is the first time we get a summer blockbuster. Like this is how Star Wars became a thing, because of this movie. It was a popular summer,
film that broke out.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, marketing, the merchandising stuff. This where it really started because of this movie. Like that's where it became, it didn't become as big because of Batman '89 made that more popular. But stuff like merchandising and stuff like that, tie-ins, it became because of this movie. Like this movie helped push the idea of a summer blockbuster. Now every year is blockbuster, every season.
That history of the movie, that history, that knowledge of it is interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a good addition to to have that knowledge, to watch, not only to watch the film, but to know some of the information, and the backstory of the film, I'm sure it's all very interesting. You know what I'm saying? I respect the movie overall. And I think that, again, I thought that end scene is still great. It still has a lot of power, and a lot of impact. You know what I'm saying? Sharks, Jaws is a very simple movie story-wise. You know what I'm saying? It's a very basic A to B kind of movie, And once you've watched it once or twice, it honestly, it you're sort of there's no excitement anymore when you watch it. After that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, I mean, for you, but for me, I've seen this movie multiple times. I don't get old, and I don't get tired of that. It's just me.
I'm glad you have that. I'm glad you have that relationship with the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have that too with other movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just unfortunately, I'm not so much with Jaws.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you. Did you see this when you were growing up, or like this is like your first time seeing this movie?
I saw it growing up.
Okay.
It was on the VHS cassette collection that my parents had when I was a kid. And that's where I got my movies from that I would pick. You know what I'm saying? From their collection, right?
Yeah. No, that's true.
So they had it, so I watched it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I saw it in TV, of course, and I saw it many times whenever they do a marathon or stuff like that. You're lucky, sir.
I would just watch movies randomly back when I was a kid. I didn't. You don't care when you're a kid. I would just watch movies. You know what I'm saying? If it looked interesting on the VHS, like written in on the label, if the title looked interesting, you know what I'm saying, or if I'd heard of it, actually heard of it. Then I'd watch it, at whatever time of day or night it was, right? I'd watch it.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Same here. Whenever I have a chance to see Where You Are movie. But yeah, the John Williams score. We need to talk about that because that has to be your favorite thing, right? Because the score is the most iconic thing about this movie.
Yeah, but it's kind of like very it's very played out at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's
if you've seen the parodies and the other sequels, it got sequels, right?
I've heard of it. I heard they were not good.
No, they're. I mean, Jaws 2 is okay, but it's not as good as the first movie. And the third and fourth movie are crap. Like the third movie, you can't believe it. The actor that plays the son of Brody, Michael, it's Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is in these Jaws movies. He's in
the 80s and the 90s and 70s and stuff like that, when they would actually do trilogies and do seconds and thirds of films. A lot of them didn't work out. That was a norm back then. You know what I'm saying? It was a normal thing to make a sequel or whatever, or make a part 3 and have it flop.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, it was there. I mean, Superman got that. The Christopher Reeve films.
There's a lot of drop off, in sequels and stuff like that back in the day.
No,
in some of them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no. I seen those movies. I mean, Batman was like that in the 90s. I mean, after Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin were really not good. I mean, Batman and Robin is the worst. But yeah, I agree. Jaws the Avenged is the worst one. I mean, you will laugh your butt off, Jeff, because it's really bad. But it has Michael Caine in that movie.
Certain movies just aren't meant to be made into sequels.
Yeah.
Jaws is not a movie where you want to make sequels of it. But I get them doing it back in the day. It makes sense economically, right? To jump on the hot thing. You know what I mean? And capitalize on it, right? I mean, sometimes certain movies it doesn't work, and sometimes with other stuff you just you can only do it so many times. Like the Terminator franchise is crazy with their it's ridiculous at this point.
Oh my god, yeah. They should have stopped at number 2, but they didn't. That's the problem.
I never even watched Dark Fate. It looks stupid.
I seen half the film. It was okay. I mean, I don't know. It was not good, but whatever.
I mean, I don't know. So it had some good things going on with it. I saw some scenes of it on YouTube, but it had some good elements. The hero character, the good Terminator that they have, the female character, she's
Yeah.
good. She's actually good in the movie.
Yeah, she was good. She was great actually. She was the best thing about that movie. When I remember seeing it. Yeah, it was better than the Genesis movie. The other one that.
I mean, again, I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I thought Genesis actually had some good things about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw it in the theater. I think it was actually watchable.
Yeah, well, it was trying to be like an MCU film, so it has like a lot of those like comedy beats. Yeah,
It had some okay like wrinkles to its story. Overall, the whole deal of it was not all that great. You know what I'm saying? The villain ended up being stupid. And like looked stupid too.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah,
but it had a good cast. It was a well cast film.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the cast. Yeah, it had a good cast. I mean, J.K. Simmons is in that movie. He's usually great. No, I agree. Yeah, I think, I don't think the Jaws movie didn't need the sequels, just like the Jurassic Park like franchise didn't need a sequel as well. Like, I think the first movie is still great. It doesn't need anything to follow up with. That was such a stupid idea from Universal, but we got the sequels, and yeah.
I don't know. I stopped watching those movies, but I mean, from everything I hear about on YouTube from the videos from the creators, apparently they've been making some really bad fucking films. Those Jurassic Park films are bad.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well,
like this new one is bad. Is really bad from everything I'm hearing about it. It's not good. It's making money, but it's bad.
Yeah. So let's do our ratings because I actually seen the new one and I could tell you how bad it is. But how you rate Jaws?
I'll give it like a 6 just to be nice, I guess.
Okay. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a great horror like movie. It's one of the best in the 70s, and that's.
Oh my god, these glasses are driving me crazy. I need a new pair. These ones they're bent. I need a new pair. I keep forgetting to call and schedule the appointment to go get them made. Yeah.
Yeah, no. You have to get
these fuckers need to be bent back in shape. They're all fucked.
Yeah, and you know what's annoying?
I hate this style of glass. These style of glasses. The rim kind. The more straight metal kind of frame. Those are the kinds like this one that bend.
Yeah.
I like the thicker frame plastic type. Frames. You know what I'm saying? They don't bend.
No.
They're not as comfortable. You know what I'm saying? They're a little bit more tight. On you a little bit and stuff like that. But they look cool and they're more durable.
True. Yeah, I used to have that as a kid. When I was a little. Yeah.
I have my backup pair is a big plastic framed type.
Oh really?
Okay. Yeah. That one doesn't bend, but it hurts when I wear them.
Yeah,
it hurts on my ear on the one side. It's too tight.
Yeah, my friend just changed his glasses because it was too small. I don't know. I think you need like a smaller glasses to wear. I think it would look good for you, but that's my opinion.
Oh well, I mean, that was the first time I ever bought a pair of glasses, and it hurt me. That's the first pair I ever bought where that happened. I never had that happen before with glasses until I had that pair.
Oh wow!
And I've worn that style of frame before in the past too, a couple times.
Yeah.
The thicker frame style. I've worn that style of frame several times. I like that look of those kind of glasses.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you get an appointment for that.
I'll get it done eventually, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Jaws review. Let me just quickly address the Jurassic World Rebirth very quickly because Jeff brought that up. So if you haven't seen my short review on Jurassic World Rebirth, the 7th installment of the Jurassic Park / World series, it's bad, but it's not the worst in the series. Like, I thought it was better than the last 2 Jurassic World sequels, Fallen Kingdom and whatever the name of the third one was, Dominion or whatever it was called. it was not as worse as those two last sequels from the Lost World, the last Jurassic World films that was starring Chris Pratt and Bryce Howard, but it just does a lot. It's the most safest summer blockbuster you're gonna see. It doesn't do anything risky. It doesn't do the crazy things that you saw from the last two Jurassic Worlds, like the cloning of a human or whatever. There's less mutated dinosaurs. Thank goodness. I'm happy about that. There's only one. But yeah, it's a safe like summer blockbuster. It's not boring. There's some cool set pieces. There's one action sequence that I do like. Apparently, it's from the original first movie novel. They couldn't adapt because it was too expensive and too hard to adapt. So they did it here. It was really good. So there's a couple action scenes that are really good. I thought the cast here is much better than the last cast. Scarlett Johansson stars here. Our Blade, who should be Blade now, Mahershala Ali is in this, and the actor Jonathan Bailey is from Bridgerton, the Netflix British show that I like and my mom like. Those three are really great pairing. They're great cast. I thought they had good chemistry. It was just like why we need a family in this story. It felt like there's two movies. Going with Jeff, why he does like Jeff's opinion on Jaws.
I didn't see the movie, sir, so I can't have an opinion on it.
No. I'm pointing out your the reason, like your criticism on Jaws, right? It feels like two movies, right? The Jaws movie has this one setting in town, and then there's this other half where we're in sea, right? So this movie, there's two things going on. We got this team of so it's in the trailers. It's not a big spoil. So Scarlett Johansson's team with Mahershala Ali and the British guy are like trying to collect DNA from dinosaurs to make a cure for heart disease, right? But then there's this other plot going on in this damn film about a family that they're having vacation and they tag along in the other protagonists of the film, and it's so ridiculous. We don't need that. That's the problem. And these characters are like so thin. The writing is so weak, and it's like, oh my god. And they tried to do Jeff, you can't believe this. They make this family meets up like a small cute dinosaur, and was clearly they were trying to do the what's the Yoda baby from Menlo? I forgot the name.
Baby Yoda, yeah, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, they were trying to do that here in this new Jurassic World. It was just funny, and I was like, why you need that? So yeah, it's not the worst thing as critics were saying, but like it's not saying much. Like it's not a great film. It's just like a very typical summer blockbuster. I rated it like a 5.5 out of 10. I only
saw a couple of reviews or whatever on YouTube, but they weren't good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with them. Like I'm not constantly about this movie. You could check my short review. It was like okay, it was fine. It's nothing like special, It's whatever.
I'm assuming based off the the quality of the other films that have been coming out under that brand, you know what I'm saying? Like the expectations for this film really weren't that high,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it wasn't I didn't ask for another movie. I was surprised they were making another one after the third one that came out 2022, right? And this is 2020.
I don't know. It's kind of like Andor. It's kind of like Andor season 2. It looks expensive. You know what I'm saying? To make, the Jurassic Park movies, they look expensive. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why they want to keep making them. You know what I mean? You think they'd rather make something more economical. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, the problem is if they're making money, then they're going to spend a huge amount of money. That's the thing. As you were brought up before, it's doing well in the box office. Speaking of Andor, actually, this new movie is directed by Gareth Edwards from Rogue One. So there's some good things he did, just like that in Godzilla, the 2014 movie. The scale is really good for the dinosaurs. I thought the dinosaurs looked better here than the last two Jurassic World movies. Yeah, he had a good eye of this movie. And the score, actually, the score for this movie was great. It's actually better than the last two, because the last three Jurassic World scores were by Michael Giacchino. I like the first Jurassic World score, but then the other two were just like very boring. This movie has the Harry Potter composer, the final two, doing the score for Jurassic World, and it was really great. He really uses the John Williams score from the first movie and all that. So yeah, it's an okay summer blockbuster. You can take your kids. It's not scary as like the first movie or really the second film, but it's not the worst movie of this year. It's just okay summer blockbuster. It's just very like the plot is very like thin. It's very straightforward. If you don't want like a good example of this, if you want a Andor type of movie, this is not the movie for that. Like it's just a simple, fun, breezy summer blockbuster to get, in and out, and then that's it. And you forget about this movie for the next couple weeks or a year.
You can't really give Gareth Edwards full credit, right, sir, for Rogue One, because Tony Gilroy stepped in at the end, and cleaned up the overall film. The final version of the film was Gilroy,
Yeah. I think everyone knows that. So I'm just saying that he's from there. He did Rogue One.
Anytime somebody else steps in, you know what I'm saying? Like, in that, when it comes to like, the directing, rating, on a film, you can't give full credit to one person. You got to give, both.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, of course, I know Tony Gilroy did everything with Rogue One, and like
they never when it comes to films and stuff, they never explain how that stuff really works out. You never find out, from Disney, like how much Gareth Edwards actually was him. You know what I'm saying? Versus like how much was Gilroy. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way to find out.
Yeah. Well, so like I mean,
no, Gareth Edwards has never talked about it that I know of, or like that. It's never been talked about or like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, people, there's some people know, you know what I mean? Like, who did what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at some point, Gareth Edwards did his version of Rogue One, and then Tony Gilroy came in and, and evaluated what they had, you know what I'm saying? And added his own, touch to it, you know what I'm saying? Edited it, cut it, added some stuff to it, you know what I mean? Added some characters to it, whatever, you know what I mean? Touched it up, in production, post production, but we don't know, who did what.
No, we don't know what.
We don't know how much of the film Gilroy was on. You know what I mean? Like how much he impacted. You know what I'm saying?
I just know like what I remember is that he did he became part of the movie when they need to really reshoot the final act. The third film, like the third.
Yeah, they brought him in the post-production area of the actual film, of the production. They brought him in the final, stretch of the film.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't there for the whole production or anything like that. They brought him in. No,
it was like last minute or something like that. Yeah. I mean, Edwards, he's an okay director. I mean, I like Rogue. I mean, I like Rogue One because of Tony Gilroy. Let me say that. The first Godzilla movie in the MonsterVerse was good. Yeah, it's decent, but it's nothing really hot. Like.
I wasn't trying to open up a big conversation. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, I know. I like Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy saved Rogue One. I mean, this is the reason we got Andor, because of him. So no, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, like he was part of the Rogue One stuff. But yeah. Again, Edwards is a good director. He's like a yes man. That's the thing. If you understand what a yes man is, he say yes to anything. He's a good, like, what do you say, a teacher's pet. Like he's not this like radical director that will like.
The feeling of Rogue One after watching Andor is like Tony Gilroy had a lot of impact on Rogue One. You know what I'm saying? Based off Andor. You know what I mean? You'd think.
Yeah, so sample that. Tony Gilroy, he's a good auteur. He has a vision where Edwards wasn't really a.
You can have a lot of impact if you're the driving creative force of the post production process of a major film like that, of a Star Wars film. That's a big chunk of the work. That post production part. You know what I mean? That's a big stretch of months. Where there's a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? That's when you do all the digital effects, and all that, and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah, and all that, yeah, which Edward is good at. Because
the editing was just a lot of time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Edwards is from a visual effects background, so he's really good at that. So,
but you could have you could have a big impact from that in that position. on a film. You know what I'm saying? You know, or a show in post production. You know, because so much happens in a Disney MCU type of movie or show in that part, in that space. You know what I'm saying? So much of the work happens then that you can really have a major impact or like, you know, a major touch on a film. You know what I mean? If you step in then, you know, and you have a big role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I hope, you know, like just wrapping up the Jurassic World stuff, like, yeah, I hope one day we get a Tony Gilroy for like a Jurassic World film, because like at this point I don't care about this series.
I don't believe that the Jurassic Park IP or concept or whatever, you know what I'm saying, lends towards that kind of movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know what else you're gonna do with this series. You're right, and it's like, I mean, you can make a good movie with these dinosaurs. I just like, you need to try hard, you know. That's my thing. So, Jeff, thank you for coming today, sir. It was a blast talking to you.
Most definitely, sir.
Yeah. So Wednesday, well, what we have Wednesday, like
DC. We have a DC animated film, so I will shoot you a message on Facebook Messenger to remind you of what the movie is. But it's those 3 films that you laid out to me on Facebook Messenger.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I think I'm
Batman Attack on Arkham or whatever, Assault on Arkham.
Yeah, so that's going to be our first major DC animation review again, which is great. So that's going to be great. That's a good movie. And then Friday, we're back again for wrapping up the Endor series. So we're going to review the season finale. That's going to be great. I'm going to be there. I need to talk to Jeff about Wednesday, but we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. Crazy week. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you enjoyed this whole awesome live stream review of Jaws, the 50th anniversary. So good night, everyone. Peace out.